So is that message working? Well, let's take a look at these new Quinnipiac polls, Charlie. Harris narrowly ahead in 3 crucial states, trimming Trump's lead on a couple of big issues in this election. On the economy, which he's been up by double digits in some polls ahead of this. In Michigan there and in Pennsylvania, he's up only 2 points. On immigration, say for Wisconsin, she's within the margin of error on that issue. What do you think that says about which message is resonating in states like yours?
Well, I think what's happened with Donald Trump is people are getting a little bit tired of him right now. And I think he hurt himself on the border deal. When he blew up the border deal, he muddled the message on immigration. He gave Harris a great opportunity to say, I'm for more Border Patrol agents. I'm for fixing the asylum system. He opposed it. And so she's been able to reclaim a little bit of lost ground on that. So that's helpful. But in Pennsylvania, look, I think she's going to really overperform in the Philadelphia media market. And she's going to have to, and she needs to. And I think women's health, abortion rights will be a very big issue there. Post-Dobbs, we haven't seen an election for President post-Dobbs. And even though Trump historically has performed better than the battleground state polls have suggested, we don't know how it'll play out this time, but it seems like she has a slight advantage.
I mean, he's talking a lot about the immigration issue through these conspiracy theories, Jonathan, related to Haitian migrants in Ohio. Do you think that's actually hurting him?
I think eventually it will for a few reasons. One, the Wall Street Journal today front page story about how this myth and this lie was known to him. His people told him, and yet he's still doing it. The second thing is, the stubbornness and the cruelty, I think, it's sort of a slow burn. When you have the Republican governor of the state, the Republican mayor of this city pleading with the nominee of their party to stop spreading this lie, and he refuses, and there are bomb threats and schools can't open because of this, I think people will take a step back to Charlie's point and think, I'm tired. I'm tired of this. I don't know if I want to go through this. Now, the real issue is immigration, but we're not having the real conversation that needs to be had because of this.
Right. It's almost a distraction from the real issue. And perhaps he doesn't want to talk about the issue because the numbers aren't reinforcing his message about the problem at the border with those border crossings going down. April, there's also some new polling on black voters, specifically in swing states. And when you look at this, Harris, you can, as you would expect, see she leads 82-12, so an overwhelming lead there. But that's still a touch behind where Biden was in 2020 when you look at the exit poll results there. What do you make of this poll? What does it tell you?
Well, this poll tells me it's a straw holes look view at this moment. Right now, people know who Donald Trump is. A lot of black people understand who Kamala Harris is and understand her culture. But at the time, Black Americans are still struggling and trying to process. They want things for them. This situation, as Jonathan just said about Haiti, Haitians are black people in this country. It does not bode well. And when you have the Republican governor saying, I don't want you to come, Donald Trump, because you will expend our resources beyond what we have, that's saying a signal too. And let's see if that translates for her. But in this moment, you have people who are still not sure if they want to even vote. And those are the people that she has to get, those people who are apathetic and those people who are still on the fence, because it's about moving forward in this time of hate that Donald Trump keeps perpetrating and talking about, especially in that debate where it wasn't a whisper like, oh, we heard he said shithole nations or people live in shithole houses. We heard Donald Trump say that himself. And as you said, the hate that he continues to spread. And until he comes out and apologizes to black people and to Haitians for that, his numbers are going to go down in the black community.
What are your expectations of this Oprah rally today? I mean, are these celebrity endorsements, Oprah, Taylor Swift, helping to juice enthusiasm and turnout?
The Swifties are powerful, and Oprah is powerful herself. She is one of the most successful people in this nation. You heard me say successful people, beyond race, beyond gender. And she brings with her a bandwidth and a power that no other has. Look at what she did with Barack Obama. She helped elevate Barack Obama. He was on his own a great candidate, but she elevated that platform, and now she is behind Kamala Harris. I mean, look at what just happens when she says, I am endorsing this book. My God, the book soars out of beyond the #1 status in the New York Times bestsellers list. But for her to lend her voice, it shows that I have vetted her, singularly. I think she would be a good candidate. She could have done this for other people, but she hadn't. But she's doing this for Kamala Harris, and it makes a big deal, especially going on Win with Black Women and Win with Black Men, the first groups that really expose this viral moment of, funding and just the excitement.
That's been like a light switch in terms of the election engagement that we're seeing from all kinds of voters and different groups. This morning, Hillary Clinton was on MSNBC and recounted sitting next to former President Bush at Trump's inaugural address. Watch.
We heard about carnage in the streets, and we saw this dark, dystopian image of our country, which is unrecognizable. And at the end of it, President Bush turned to me and said, that was some weird. And so, honestly, he knew it then. We have seen all of this unfold.
So she is saying that Trump is even darker and angrier now than then. How do you think his tone and messaging themes are resonating with voters who aren't part of his core group of supporters?
It's almost inexplicable what he's doing. He is supposed to try to broaden his base. He never does that. He just doubles down on the MAGA agenda.
It's all about, for him, trying to get enthusiasm, right? And getting those people to turn out.
But he's got such a low ceiling. It just never makes, it has never made any sense to me that he has not expanded his base. He should be doing that. He should be reaching out. But when you're talking about eating cats and dogs in Ohio and then other just bizarre things that he has been doing, his temperament, I am not shocked that he seems to be declining a little bit in these polls. I mean, it's exhausting, and frankly it's offending people. I can't explain the inexplicable, but as a politician. By the way, I was at that inauguration when George Bush said that, and all I can say is that, I walked out and I said, I'm not going to be critical of him today because it's inauguration day. The only thing I can say is this guy just restated all the things he said in his campaign. It was a terrible speech, but he just continues to go down these deep, dark rabbit holes of nativism, xenophobia, protectionism, isolationism, and he just can't get out of his own way.
So J.D. Vance and Trump have been pointing fingers at Democrats for these attempts on his life, Jonathan. So when we talk about the rhetoric, there's been so many calls from Democrats specifically to try to tone it down, to take a beat. But they are also saying, what about you, right, in terms of both sides need to tone it down. This headline from New York Magazine is pushing back on this logic, saying, quote, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, and saying so is not incitement. What strikes me, Jonathan, is many of the rhetorical attacks that we're seeing from Harris and Walz and the Harris campaign are using Trump's own words. They're just highlighting things that he has said, his own quotes. The bulk post from the Kamala HQ account is Trump in his own words. Do you see Democrats shifting their message? Should they?
No. What Trump is doing by trying to shift the blame onto Democrats is projection. That is all that Trump is. Anything he accuses someone of, just do a little search, and you will see that he is guilty of it himself. And he's trying to deflect, and he's trying to project. Using his own quotes against him or to highlight them. I mean, the New York Magazine is right. Democrats are pointing this out for a reason. When he stands there and says, I like to punch that guy in the face, and if something happens to you, I will pay your legal bills. What is that? From that small thing to inciting an insurrection in the building, outside that window there. He is the one who has been inciting violence. And for Democrats to point that out is not inciting violence themselves. It's warning people. It's warning the American people. And Democrats have to keep doing it.